Hello, people of Earth. It's Wednesday night. And you know what that means? Everybody's asking each other a very, 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 very specific question that can only...
What's the seventh symbol?
What is the seventh symbol? And hey, did you see this one? Oh, what is going on, everybody? It's time to talk about movies with your friends. Hello, everyone,
Hi.
and welcome to Hey, did you see this one? And this week, we have the man of the hour, the caged beast, Kalen, as our host of the week.
Thank you. Yes, that's right. I'm hosting this week as we continue our February adventures with Stargate. I'll be
Is that
here
what it's called? February Adventures?
Yeah,
Is
Did
that
we
what
ever
we
decide
said?
on a...
that's what I think we said something different last week.
I think it was The Adventure of February, but
Oh.
whatever, it's fine. February
That sounds good. That
Adventures
sounds
is here too. Okay, that sounds better. Okay,
The Adventure of February.
I'm just
Yeah.
gonna blow my nose right into the mic.
That's where you blow
Do it. And
Oh.
I am joined with my fellow hosts, Jason and Steven.
Hi, I'm Steven
Hello, I'm Jason, and welcome to the show.
from the Gloop Glark galaxy cluster of stars, or whatever the heck it was called. I can't remember the exact location, but it was on the other side of the universe, the whole universe, not even the galaxy.
Speaking of stars, oh fuck, I jumped the shark. The Bagusi gang has expanded once again, and we have crossed 600 followers here on Twitch, which is, I think, pretty crazy. I think that for a show that is under a year old, having 600 people that, you know, follow us is pretty crazy.
Hopefully that number continues to grow.
Some of you should actually watch the show, though, because you know, the people.
Listen,
that
if we're not streaming Fortnite, people don't care.
It's true.
They just see our ugly faces and they're like, "Who are these dweebs?"
And even when
Talking about Stargate.
and even when we do play Fortnite, people are still like, ugh.
Yeah. Oh,
Sorry, Kalen.
well.
Sorry, Kalen. Sorry, Cullen.
So as we always do, we start with our first times with the movie. Steven, may I ask you to share with us your first experience with this movie?
My first experience with a Stargate or the movie Stargate. My first time watching this movie, my parents rented it, and they told me that it was too spooky, but I was at the age where I didn't believe them anymore, because my mom also told me stuff like James Bond was too spooky to watch, and I was like, this isn't true. You lie. You just don't like me to see cool action movies. But I did sneak down in the morning while they were still sleeping, and I popped it in and I started watching it, and you know what? It did kind of freak me out, but I think it was because I had the preconception that my mom said it was scary before I was watching it, so I was like amped up with adrenaline of fear that I was gonna get spooked. But I think I got through the whole thing. I don't really remember much of that initial watch through, except for the end part where Ra is like putting that weird ring on the guy's forehead and melting his brain or whatever, and he does like a weird cross-eyed death, which is pretty good. As a kid, I was terrified of that because I thought that his head was going to explode, and I was just waiting for it to happen under like a blanket with my hand, like, oh, am I going to see brains? But yeah, that was the first time I saw it, and you know what? I'm more familiar with the television series than I am with this movie. I realized watching it, because I started watching and realized that, like, I don't remember any of this. This is a great rewatch.
How does it compare to the series?
I mean, the show is, it's kind of like a more, to use like a sort of tired term, like a jockish version of Star Trek, I guess, like where they try to have sort of sciencey stuff, but it is more so about like the cool marine aspect, like military aspect of it all.
Gotcha.
sort of what Star Trek has become over the last couple of years of them remaking all those shows.
It's been a long time.
Yeah. But I've only made my glasses more dirty. Yeah, my microfiber cloth must be filthy.
You gotta use the bottom underside of the t-shirt.
Okay. No, not my t-shirt. Yeah, but you know the shows, I watched a couple of them. I was really into Atlantis. I remember that because it had a cool Canadian character where he just had a Canadian flag on his arm the entire time, and I was like, that's cool, I'm from there. But I was a kid, so but yeah, it's not a series that I particularly love, and it's not something that I think of often. I'm glad that we rewatched the movie though, because there's some really cool stuff in it that the show never perfected upon. They emulated poorly because it was a TV show and they didn't have the budget to do the kind of stuff they do in this. And it would be interesting to see if to see them go at it with the equivalent level of budget that they went in this era now, to see what they would be able to do with it. Oh wait, it's called Gods of Egypt and it sucked.
God.
Yeah, you're straining to remember its existence because it's so bad that it's trying to escape from your memories.
It has
that was a movie, right?
Yeah, it has some doofus in it from that
era.
Is
that the one with the tall gods?
It's Gerard Butler and what's his name from Game of Thrones, the Kingslayer.
Were they really tall though, like compared to the people?
They're like avatar-sized human beings.
Yeah.
I remember me and you, Steve, were working at the escape room, and we just had a stack of like these
little journals.
With the
we
gods of Egypt.
Briefly did a partnership with some entertainment company, but I couldn't remember which one it was. But they would give us all this merch from their movies, and one of them was just like 5 boxes full of these little gods of Egypt notebooks.
I've still got one.
I'm sure I have one somewhere.
Was it Entertainment One? Because that's like a local company.
Probably, yeah. I just remember having a discussion
all the time.
Yeah,
I had a discussion with one of the owners of the company. They were like, we should only be accepting partnerships with movies like Mad Max or like Shape of Water, and like they were like saying movies that I'm like, why the fuck would they ever partner with us? Those movies don't need to promote it an escape game. We're getting the bottom of the barrel because they're just trying to get shit out everywhere that they can.
Anything else about your first time with this movie?
No.
Beautiful. So that leads us to my good friend Jason over here. Why don't you tell us about your first time with this movie?
Listen.
Yeah.
I'm not going to blow smoke up your dick and tell you that I've seen this movie 100 times.
Up your dick.
Do it.
But
do it for other reasons.
I remember this movie vividly, it being part of my childhood in 1994. I don't know why I never...
1994.
Exactly. I don't know why I never saw it. It seems like a movie I should have been all over. I had action figures from it. My friend had the toys and like the big...
I remember the toys too, yeah.
The aesthetic was cool for the time. Watching the movie, it has a Jurassic Park kind of like look and vibe to it. I mean, it's different obviously, but it's got that same...
Well, Roland Emmerich is like, he emulates Spielberg so much, and to some degree he does successfully, but he never is able to make a movie that is as good as a Steven Spielberg movie, even though he's trying his darndest.
But I remember so little about this movie that I thought it was... like my memory did not have James Spader and it did not have Kurt Russell being in this movie. It had the cast of Starship Troopers, and like how Steve was saying that the TV show is a lot more jockey. I always expected this movie to be a lot more like, yeehaw, Semper Fi, let's shoot down those alien fuckers. But no, this is closer to Krull than it is to Starship Troopers. It's very much a nerd. A nerd goes into his fantasy world that
is dweeb. Let's do dweeb.
Dweeb goes. A chicken man goes into his fantasy world, meets his fantasy babe, and gets to like learn his fantasy language, right? So it's closer to a Krull, and I'm watching it going. Before I was like, we were spitballing for this month because we had a short month. We wanted to come up with something to base around Krull.
Yeah, I'm glad you guys listened to everything I said. I was like, this, and this. Come on, we're not doing Hercules.
It was perfect because as I told you all last week, I 100% Krull and Call the Conqueror mixed up. So this was another one where up until I started watching it this afternoon / last night, that's the end of that part of it. I watched it today and yesterday. I thought it was like I thought it was like Independence Day also.
Well,
you know,
yeah, it's the same guy. But he kind of has a certain stigmatized career, but his earlier stuff was not. It was a little bit more cinematic and thought-provoking to a certain degree. But I know exactly. I had the same fears going in that you had because I hadn't seen it in so long, but I just assumed it was going to be Independence Day, but all shot in the desert and no White Houses blowing up. You know.
Yeah. So that I've been aware of this movie since in 1994 I was 9 years old. This should be, you know how I was talking about movies that should have been part of my childhood? This is absolutely one of those movies I should have seen shortly after Jurassic Park and shortly before Independence Day, and it should have been my shit. Like, this movie probably made people psyched to see Independence Day when it got announced. They were like, holy shit. The same thing, but in a city this time.
Yeah, and this is, I think, what kind of got him his blank check sort of status in terms of being able to just continuously make giant blockbusters forever. Like, his budgets have never really gone down, and his concepts have always been wild.
Each more ridiculous than the previous.
Yeah.
What the people want, baby!
Yeah. Kaylin, why don't you tell us about your first time watching Stargate 1994, starring James Spader and Kurt Russell?
If I'm not mistaken, so I do know that it was 2 years ago this May.
It was 2 years ago, May.
Starring French Stewart.
Oh, yeah.
Was this his first movie role, wasn't it?
I think so. He might have had like smaller little parts here and there as like bit character Squinty Man or something.
Third Rock from the Sun was definitely out at this point. I'm pretty sure.
Was it?
I think it was shortly after this. I don't think it was out yet.
Yeah. But so it was 2 years ago this May, at the height of COVID. Around this time, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, going through what's his name? Raj Ebert website.
What?
All right.
Siskel and Ebert? Are you talking about
what?
Like Ebert, like the film critic?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Jeez. Oh, his top 1,000 movies or whatever you were doing during COVID?
Yeah, I was going through his list. So
maybe you call him Ebert, not Roger. Because it's like, who the fuck is Roger? Was Roger one of those troopers in this movie?
Raj.
Raj is worse.
The classic
what does he
movie
prefer?
reviewer, Raj. Oh, he's dead. He's a dead guy.
No, he's not. He's not dead.
Roger Ebert's not dead?
No, Siskel is, though.
He's been dead.
Yeah.
Roger Ebert's still alive, eh? I'm going to call him up.
Yo, you're more than welcome to join the show, Raj. But so
he's probably home getting 2 thumbs down to that comment.
Yeah, and then he wins another Pulitzer Prize for tearing us to shreds.
Yeah,
nice. It led to this movie though, and I was surprised. I've never heard of it, and I was also surprised how much I enjoyed it. You guys,
oh no!
Wait, this was on his top 1,000 list.
Roger Ebert died in 2013 BTW.
You guys said that. That wasn't me. I was just going through his thing alphabetically. I
see. Because I know that he gave this a thumbs down. That's why I was...
Yeah, exactly. But what he talked about, it was like, ooh, that actually sounds cool. I still, he made me still want to check it out, even though he didn't like it. It was kind of cool.
He's like, listen, folks, this movie is about a bunch of jocks that go to space with one nerd, and the nerd gets to go marry a woman who doesn't speak any English, and it's dumb.
Well, that's
one
exactly
thumb
it.
down from me.
You guys mentioned Independence Day. This is kind of like that with a little bit of a reversal where the scientist, gets the girl instead of the soldier, right?
Yeah, but the soldier is also going through like a severe trauma about his son accidentally shooting himself in the head. So,
which was a great little ripple.
And he's got a wife.
There is a nice payoff for that. There is a great payoff for that. Yeah.
I was thinking about it because I was like, why the fuck would they go to him and make him do this? And then I realized, like, oh,
I
maybe
need
it's
to
because he's.
pause this for 1 second. It's
Why?
14 minutes and 46 seconds when I started the pause when I said it, which is the same time the movie title was shouted out for this movie.
Oh.
Okay. I'm glad that you interrupted me talking about suicidal trauma.
Was that a
That
bad
was
bit?
bad.
Did it not work out? I was still supposed
It's
to be doing
fine
my
to
thing.
do the bit, but I was just gonna say something about the reason that they chose him is not because he was the best, but it's because he's more willing to die because he's, his son's dead and he doesn't have any
got
reason to live.
nothing.
Absolutely. I got that. I figured
Anyway,
figured
Caitlin,
that out
continue.
pretty good.
Yeah.
No, that was it.
No, is that? Oh, that's all you have for the first time you saw it. Okay, so you saw it because of Siskel
I saw it
Ebert's.
2 years ago, and then gave a nice little rewatch this past week.
Okay, so I just want to just if in case you didn't hear me, Roger Ebert died in 2013. He also had
What? He died in 2013?
Yeah, he also had a severe, I think, throat cancer, and had his bottom jaw reconstructed. So don't look at pictures of Roger Ebert because they're horrifying. And he definitely did not have a great quality of life at the end of his life.
So the other guy's alive then?
No, he died in the 90s.
Oh my god, they're both dead.
They're both dead.
Why did I think one of them was alive?
Because you think it's still 2013, like most people.
Huh. On a lighter note,
that is kind of a scary photo.
Jason, I have some praise for you.
Oh, I love praise. Praise me, Jesus. Wait.
I thought you would.
Oh my god.
I had some free time to, or on breaks and stuff, through work, do a quick little one-up before, before the show. So it was in chunks. It's not the best way, but it's not bad either. It also, though, the one little praise that I do want to give in a certain respect is that it does kind of help digest it in little chunks so that you can kind of stew on something.
I take so many notes that
right?
if I had to sit and watch a 2-hour movie, I would have issues with that, we'll say. But
listen, my point that I
get it.
Make all the time is that movies are edited very deliberately, and watching it like that is a great disrespect.
Listen,
to the editor.
If I'm watching a movie to watch a movie, I usually sit and watch the whole thing. Most movies I've seen, except for RRR, because that fucking movie was 3 hours and 15 minutes. I physically.
RRR. Oh, never mind.
The Indian movie that was that's going to won an Oscar. Is going to win an Oscar. That movie was so long that after 2 hours, it was time to go to bed. But typically, I watch a movie in one sitting. It's just for these reviews, I get more out of it if I watch it in chunks. However, I want to introduce to you something that I came up with today, and it's called a new segment that I like to call, ladies and gentlemen, it's the Home Alone of it all.
What? We already do that.
No, I know, but there's a
twist.
There's more to it that I've decided.
Ooh, a spritz.
I'm going to start trying to figure out when the time is that it becomes the Home Alone of it all. I posit that
I like the actual literal
the
time.
same way that Kaylin does the time of the
I like that
name drop. So
mine's way easier though.
Mine is more of a philosophical,
a little objective
exercise.
Yeah.
I posit that the moment they walk into the Stargate is when it becomes the Home Alone of it all.
Okay, I like that. Can we lay down some rules as to what qualifies as being the moment?
We can.
Not now.
Not now.
This is going to be so much more difficult because not every movie has people walking through a fucking Stargate.
That's true.
Well, that's what I'm saying, right? It can be subjective sometimes.
That's why I'm going to make a segment out of it. But this, in my opinion, and I thought of this because it was so easy. It was so laid out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think when Kevin slams the fucking when he slams the the map of his house down on the table with all of the traps
and
on
the music starts going.
That's when the best part of the movie happens, when you see that map. That's so 32 minutes
across the screen.
Yeah, 32 minutes 10 seconds. He walks into that hole, and the end credit. Like, I would say you can come out of the Home Alone of it all. I could say you actually could come out of
I
it.
think next week's episode will also have a very clear.
Yeah, when she falls in the lake.
Yeah,
when
exactly.
she falls in the river.
No spoilers. No spoilers for Kalen.
Sorry.
Yeah, no.
He's never seen it.
Oh shit! You're in
I
for a
may
trip.
have seen like a clip because for some reason it's like a big jack-o'-lantern head, right?
Yes, but you also thought it was a cartoon when I first brought it up. You're like, it's a cartoon, right? I was like, no, not exactly. But there was a cartoon. I looked it up. There was a cartoon that was
I used to watch it
essentially the same thing as this movie, but
it was
live
on.
action.
So there was a chunk of programming. I'll reiterate this next.
No,
week.
but there was a movie. Sorry, not just the TV show. There was a movie as well. That was an animated
movie,
which I rented when I was a kid. But there was a chunk of programming that was on some channel at 6 o'clock in the morning, and it went Maya the Bee, Return to
YTV.
Oz. No, it wasn't because I didn't have YTV. Maya the Bee. Return to Oz. It was like MITV, which became global later.
Gotcha.
Maya the Bee, Return to Oz, and then Astro Boy, which I had gotten. I watched.
What about Samurai Pizza Cats? When did that come on?
Raccoons?
That was on YTV for me.
Okay.
What about Raccoons?
Raccoons was on before or after Sunday. I think it was on after Disney Sunday.
Gotcha.
On CBC on Sunday nights. That's when I would watch that show.
Yeah, we also probably all had different timings for everything because we lived in different parts of the country. Tracks, ladies and gentlemen.
Yo, tracks. Yeah, look at those tracks. If you had 3D glasses right now, they wouldn't do anything because we're not red and blue.
No.
I mean, let's kind of like walk into the sort of the opening of this movie is interesting. I think we all watched the director's cut, yeah, all of us, the extended edition.
The extended,
I watched the 2 hour and 9 minute version. 6 minutes were credits. So I think we all watched the version that had all of the bits. I did read that there is a 3 hour version on that may exist. There was 3 hours worth of.
I don't know if I would need to watch 3 hours of this fucking movie because even after the end of the extended, I was like, maybe too long. Maybe this movie was too long.
Maybe cut 9 minutes off that. It would have been perfect.
What would you cut though? Like is there a specific scene or something?
I don't know.
There's a large chunk in the middle where it's a lot of them in the settlement.
Yeah,
that isn't really pertinent. It doesn't really matter, and I feel like a lot of that I just wasn't engaged or interested, and it took them really long time to start giving the people subtitles. So a lot of it is up to their interpretation, and I understand the artistry behind that and why they're doing it. But to me, like you don't need to wait 45 minutes of us having to figure out what they're saying before they add subtitles. The first time you see subtitles is when two of them are talking to one another, right? Like, that's because you need it at that point. But I was just kind of like, we get it. They don't understand them. But like, can somebody like open up a computer that translates what they're saying into English so that I don't have to like sit here and interpret? Because it's clear what they're trying to say, right? Like, the storm is coming, and all of them are freaking out because they want to leave, and then all the people are freaking out because there's a storm coming, and me as the audience is like, yeah, I get it. I know there's a storm coming. I can see it happening. I know this, and it does no service to the characters that they start freaking out and shooting at the ground, when there's a storm coming. That storm effect, though, was cool. I did say that. When the storm was coming over the hill, that was very cool. And I wonder if it was a miniature and how they did it, because it looked very good. It didn't look like any kind of computer effect.
There was also a really cool practical effect for the Stargate before they started using CGI, where it's like swirling water.
Oh,
and
yeah,
I know
the water comes out.
I know it was swirling water because I saw on remember the television show Reading Rainbow? Of course you did.
Yes.
They did since LeVar Burton was on Star Trek, they did a like special effects kind of walkthrough on the set, and they showed how they did the teleporters. What are they called?
The
transporters.
The transporters, yeah, and it's literally sparkles in water and then stirred, and then they shoot that, and then that's them beaming. I thought that was cool. So I knew I had
awesome.
I thought you meant they did a walkthrough of this movie on Reading Rainbow. And I was like, what? It's like an R-rated movie. Like butterfly in the sky. All right, kids. Now I'm going to show you how the special effects work in Stargate. Rated
Was this R-rated?
I don't know. I was.
It was
joking.
probably PG-13. But since we're going through the movie, I did pull up the extended cut scenes, and there's only 5 additional scenes, and they're pretty short. So the first one, I'm not going to do them all right now. I'll pepper them through the episode. But the first one is right at the beginning. Instead of opening up, James Spader's not in the original cut at all.
Yeah, they just added him in digitally.
It's
like Forrest Gump, where he's like in old footage.
Yeah, exactly. Or Tig Notaro in that
where he's
Zack
just
Snyder
like,
zombie movie.
Oh, why did they have to add coconut? I liked original. Just like drinking.
Instead of opening up on the discovery of the Stargate in 1928, the film begins with Ra's abduction of his human host thousands of years ago. A little bit of this is later revisited in the flashback sequence as Daniel narrates the story he's read on the cave wall, but the original opening was much longer. And then the next thing is like right after that. So I'm covering 2 of 5 right now. The Stargate isn't the only thing dug up in Egypt in 1928. Archaeologists working for Dr. Langford also found a pair of petrified alien warriors, the Horus Guards, who were later buried with the Stargate, or tried to come through as it was buried. Which that's trippy. That's fucked up.
Is that what that Han Solo frozen thing was?
Yeah. They're fossils.
Yeah.
And then later, Kurt Russell and the general go and look at it, and I assume they would have cut that out as well, probably, right? Which you know what, like that is kind of cool though. Like it adds a little bit more impact to like what can happen if something goes wrong with the teleporter, you know?
Yeah.
The Stargate, and
I assume if a fly and a person go through at the same time, their brains switch. And then you get the fly situation. Where...
Have you seen The Fly? Because that's not how The Fly.
No, I know. That's what happens in that episode of The Simpsons.
The Simpsons, they just switch heads.
Yeah. Oh no, I'm thinking
in
of
the
a
actual
comic
Fly.
I'm thinking of a comic I wrote when I was a kid called The Adventures of Bat Stan and Stan Bat, where a bat, instead of Batman, he's Batman with the mind of a fly, and then the fly has like Bruce Wayne powers. It sold 0 copies, and I never published it. So,
where's my copy?
I never made one.
You should have bought one, Kalen, when you had the chance. I could kind of tell because I was watching this with Danny, and they would have to pause their movie because we would realize like, oh, we're not because we were watching it in different areas, and like,
oh yeah.
like they were watching the regular version and I was watching the other, so I like figured out where all the deleted content was because of how I was watching it with somebody. And I think there's like little bits, chunks that are extended as well. So like the part where the team is being attacked by the Horus Guards in like that Matrix style column chamber or whatever. You know, it's like sort of reminiscent of like the lobby sequence from the Matrix. Just the way it's set up and the way the hunks of stone are flying everywhere. I think that there's like quite a bit more to that sequence, which makes those guys seem a lot more threatening, I must say. And they don't show them really at all for like the entire fight, which is pretty cool.
Classic.
And then when you finally do see it, it like looks over and has like the crazy like moving parts and stuff. I think those practical effects were pretty cool, even though they look a little bit silly at times. The way that once you realize it's just a helmet and it's not actually like an alien creature, you can kind of like get behind it. You're like, yeah, that's just for intimidation purposes. These things, helmets,
the slaves.
It's to freak you out. Yeah.
Before we move on a bit, though, typically we at least do a bit of a plot synopsis, like a short one. Do one of you guys want to hit us with a plot synopsis?
I got it right here.
Oh, do you have it? Gonna just read? I was just gonna do a summary because a lot of the time the synopsis is too long. It's like 6 paragraphs long or whatever.
I got like 5 sentences for you.
I want that. That's what I want. Let's hear it.
Okay. What's the thing called again? The Stargate.
Already terrible.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I could have done a better job than that.
Too many immediately, and then you forgot what a Stargate was.
What's the thing called again? You mean the title of the movie? It's called a Stargate.
No, I got it. Okay. So Stargate's found. They travel to the other side. They get in a fight with the creator, and they win.
Okay.
Well,
That is a
that
very,
is what
very
happens.
broken down version to the point that it's literally
That's
just.
almost.
But you
too
got to talk
concise.
about how, like, the movie opens with a guy who's obsessed with Egyptian
Well, that's where we come
architecture. I know, and like, so James Spader he's considered a kook amongst his colleagues or whatever, right? And
My favorite character, by the way.
which is also like a really fun way to have any movie be told, is the hard intellectual who knows everything about their subject of expertise being plucked out of the other colleagues of his departments and specializations because he is the best and actually knows the truth, whereas they are all like, your ideas are crazy. What do you think, Martians, Bill?
What do you think? It's alien Martians
Yeah,
from
you,
space?
you
fucking
stupid son of a bitch! Get out of this university. You're never welcome here again.
The narrator's like, it was aliens.
Do you guys
Exactly.
think that thing that goes over the pyramid is like a pyramid maker?
I
know
just
what I
thought
mean?
it was. I thought the pyramid was sort of like a docking station for the pyramid. It's like it
Oh,
lands
okay,
on there and like it generates energy or something, or like the interior of the pyramid is then becomes part of like the throne room and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and then the I kind of interpret it like the pyramids on Earth just don't have any of the energy left in them, so they're just kind of husks. But
Right.
Yeah, they're not being maintained, or because
Yeah.
the even the temple entrance that they come out of looks almost new, or at least it's being have some sort of like upkeep being taken down upon it.
But they still
Still.
they still use slaves to make these pyramids on this planet, right?
They're harvesting the same material that the Stargate is made out of. So I assume that that's used to like repair their ship and potentially travel to other areas to build new Stargates. Because
Or shit, yeah.
it's sort of implied that like you can use the Stargates to travel great distances, but you still need to like physically move somewhere to be able to build a Stargate to
Yeah.
travel to that distance.
Yeah, it's like
And-
the teleporters in Valheim.
I don't know. What
Sure,
that means.
yeah.
For my Valheim.
Or any video game ever fucking made.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, Steve.
Well,
Put your
So-
pedantic pants on over here.
I mean, we could talk about how it's the same as the gates in Lost in Space, if you want to talk about another adventure film that we should maybe one day do on this podcast, because I like
What
that
about
movie
Tim
weirdly.
Allen?
Galaxy Quest?
Oh, damn it. That's not Lost in Space? My bad.
No.
No.
Which one's Lost in Space?
It's the
Danger,
one based
Will
on the television
Robinson.
show.
That's been remade a couple times also.
They had a TV show a few years ago, which I watched a couple episodes. Wasn't into it, but the movie from the '90s. It's got Matt LeBlanc. It's got William Hurt. It's got Gary Oldman.
Hey, that's a decent cast. One of those things is not like the other, but
That's true. Yeah, I thought I'd say him first to get him out of the way, and then ramp up to the goodness. There's a couple of other actors. What's her name? Heather Graham from Austin Powers.
Nights.
The other one that pops in a way.
Booby Nights.
Clueless. Oh wait, not Clueless. That was
No,
Yeah,
that's
Boogie Nights.
Alicia
Silverstone.
Silverstone's.
You mentioned earlier that Kurt doesn't just play your typical square jawed, soldier kind of meathead kind of guy, and there's a little more to him. And we get a little sneak peek of that at the beginning where he's going to be picked up for this mission. And they're like, he's like all serious and tense and shit. Yo, was that hair? Do you think that was a wig? Or
It was
that real hair?
absolutely a wig, and that wig was putting it overtime, brother. And that brush cut was also putting it overtime. I think that
Man, the flat top.
and
Oh,
to the
shit.
point that once I saw him in a beret, I was like, Kurt Russell should have just fucking played Guile in the Street Fighter movie. Like this character was more Guile than Jean-Claude Van Damme, who has like a thick fucking Swedish or German. Where's Jean-Claude Van Damme from?
Is he French?
Or French? Yeah, he's
Yeah,
a
I'm pretty
super
sure he's French,
thick
yeah.
French accent. He's like,
Um,
"Hello, I am from America."
But I mean, they cast him because he can do scissor kicks and
That's
splits
true.
and stuff.
That's
And
true. But they also hired
Yeah.
Kylie Minogue to be Cammy. You know what I mean? Like they could have just
Listen, I'm
cast
pretty
anyone.
sure maybe they did offer it to Kurt Russell, and he said, "Fuck no, I'm
He was
not
like,
going to be
"Fuck
in the
no,
Street Fighter movie."
I'm gonna be in a real movie.
He said no to this movie several times.
And
He
they were
kept
like,
saying no,
"Please."
and they're like, "Please, we need you. So we really need you to be in
You're
this movie."
Snake.
Yeah, they keep trying to throw Jean-Claude Van Damme at us, and we're like, no, we don't need any split kicks in this movie.
I mean, unless you can do a split kick.
I don't think it would have helped this movie. I think this movie is perfect as it is.
No, he's very much the action element of this movie. He's very action star throughout it, and then he has the great line at the end, which I put in my... Actually, I'm not going to say it because it's in my final write-up, but he has the best line in the whole movie.
I guess I got to change
King
my
Tut
review.
one?
We're just...
Listen, Kalen, obviously it's the King Tut one.
Yeah.
Obviously it's the King Tut one. Holy shit.
We're all going to say it in our
There's
final...
no other one-liner in the movie. That's the only one.
Well,
there's
Chicken Man.
the awkward, like, James Spader's, like, they're not, like, quotables in that sense, but, like, the awkward little, like, can I, like, he already takes the paper and then asks if he can borrow it afterwards, like, classic.
There was one...
That's not a like action movie one-liner like stick around or let off some steam.
There was like the dweebs do have their one-liners in action movies typically, but they're more of like a setup and payoff. But there was one setup that didn't have the payoff or any payoff really, and it was they show that when he travels anywhere he has allergies, and we get I think 2 or 3 times where he's like it's played off as the comic relief. And then they have him sneaking around, and he doesn't blow their cover by sneezing. And I thought that was a missed opportunity.
Where is he sneaking around?
I think I agree with you. There was a missed opportunity, but I think that was more so just to show that he's like weak. He's a weak scientist person. It was more of a way of visually showing like this person is one of those people in your life that is like, I'm sick all the time because of the air. Yeah, you're talking about me, motherfucker.
I was gonna say, if you drew your hair out a little bit, you kind of look like a young James Spader.
Well, I'm not gonna lie. When they first reveal the Eye of Ra, I was watching it with Danny, and I went, "Oh, it's the Eye of Ra," and then James Spader went, "It's the Eye of Ra." Like right after I said it, I was like, "God damn it, shit, fuck."
That guy, he almost has the Kathleen Turner level of looks different 30 years later.
But even better now than he was then, man. He's killing it.
Well, he's an excellent actor. He has come a long way as an actor because he's one of those people I didn't expect to be in this movie. Because he looks
like Kurt Russell. He turned it down a bunch of times too. He was like, "Fuck no."
He looks like he does a lot of more serious drama roles, and he plays when he does comedy. It's a lot. It's like The Office and Ultron are like very much not what you would expect. But the thing is like, the Disney movie Atlantis? The main character of the Disney movie Atlantis?
Yes.
He looks like that.
Little Bow Wow?
Yeah.
What?
Is it not Little Bow Wow? Oh, is it Nick
No.
Cannon?
It's an animated movie.
Atlantis.
He's thinking of like Atlanta or something.
Oh. The animated Disney film.
Atlantis. They go to Atlantis, the city of Atlantis.
Well, it's about
Is that the one with the floating or flying ship or something?
It's a submarine. It goes underwater to Atlantis, the sunken city of Atlantis.
All right, that's 2 strikes so far. 2 strikes.
Well, he looks like that. He looks like the lead singer of the movie Atlantis. That's right.
The lead singer, yeah, where he sings the song Atlantis.
James Spader in Stargate looks like the main character of Atlantis in the movie.
Oh, like the haircut and shit.
Well, in the 90s, which is when both of those movies came out, a center part with dirty blonde hair was like the look, and then if you were a nerd, you stuck glasses on them and gave them allergies and made them know everything about hieroglyphics.
I had a mushroom cut in the early part of the 90s and a center part in the later part of the 90s. So
I had the exact hairstyle of this character in this movie for the majority of the 90s.
Of course you did.
Lucky. I had like a big bush.
Oh my god.
Jeez.
We just gained 2 subscribers from that. They're typing "show your bush" over and over again in all caps.
It's coming back.
So I kind of want to. My wife loves this movie, and I kind of regret not setting her up to be on.
Nice.
Oh.
It was too short notice, I think. But she was telling me that this is a movie she had on VHS as a kid. and
Oh,
loved.
cool. That's the thing, though. Like having a movie on VHS can completely and utterly change the way you view a movie for
Yeah.
your entire life. Like it will be a completely different experience if you owned it on VHS versus just having seen it as a kid.
Well, I did
And
two different podcasts, ours and another podcast about Stay Tuned. And my insight on Stay Tuned was leaps and bounds on everybody else's because they had all watched it once ever recently, and I had seen it 40 times.
yeah. There should be another podcast where we only talk about movies that we've seen collectively a billion times each.
Yeah.
But that's a different day for a different tale. Let's talk about this ambiguous boy king.
Yeah.
The most androgynous person in the world.
I got a little feeling of that.
I was like, ooh, wait a sec.
Yeah, well, this actor was only in a couple of things around this time, had a very short-lived career, and decided to leave Hollywood because they didn't like it.
I was wondering about that because
well, they're clearly like a non-binary person before it was even sort of considered a thing. Even if you see them at award shows and stuff, they'd wear like a suit jacket, low cut, showing most chest, in their hairstyle would be styled to what you would consider to be typically feminine.
Maybe that's why. Maybe they were
presented as males. Probably.
Maybe they were pushed out of Hollywood because it wasn't,
or just weren't getting the kind of roles they wanted to do, or it could have been anything, or just didn't feel comfortable.
Hollywood was like, you play a man because there's two genders, and they're like, what?
Yeah, but I kind of like that. This role, I think, maybe spoke to them a little bit because they were able to like just play someone who was completely androgynous and like in a way that it felt completely appropriate to the character. It wasn't just like a choice. It was like, no, this person is supposed to be genderless and sexless and sort of like this, just a beautiful being that is also threatening and scary at the same time. And I think that they accomplished it pretty well.
That was perfect cut.
Everything they're wearing doesn't necessarily lean in one clear direction. It would look completely different on a different body type and would be rendered completely differently in your mind. I think it's really cool. And like, I know you said that scene at the beginning was added where like the ship comes down, and I guess that's where they chose the form, and like they have a little bit of it later. But I do specifically remember when I was a kid being actually like not sure of what I was looking at as a person. I was like, is this a queen or a king? I don't understand. Is it a child? Is it a grown adult? And like I couldn't sort of like put it into a conventional box in my mind, and that idea sort of like was super interesting to me as a kid, but it was also sort of like eerie, and also it didn't help that they were like completely emotionless in their face unless they were like causing pain, and then they would smile. So they were like, oh, this person's scary. I don't know what they're thinking.
Make them believe I'm a god, the one true god.
Also, I completely forgot about the fact that this character was like an alien that had sort of possessed a human body. So I was pleasantly surprised when you see it, like the animatronic of the alien kind of like when he's telling the story, being like, he came here and he took a form of a young man.
Another to go back to my intro, my history with this movie, the aliens, since the aliens in Independence Day sort of have like a pharaoh like shape to them, they've got the wings on the back of their, not wings, but they've got like the hood on the back of their head. I also thought that the aliens in this just looked like that also, and kind of didn't think that these two movies take place in the same universe, but I was ready to like do my thing where I'm like, these movies are totally in the same universe.
I always thought that the Independence Day aliens, like the way they have that sort of like,
it's like a hood
shape. Yeah. It looks like the top of a squid to me. Like it looked like a squid. Yes. Like they had like evolved from squids into these sort of like bipedal.
I think he also they call them squids at some point in that.
Well, they have crazy like it's like crazy tentacles.
Squid's been around for a long time in real life.
Yeah, pretty much everything in the ocean.
Octopus.
Pretty much everything in the ocean.
And octopus share like almost no common ancestral DNA with anything else on the planet, or it's just like, what? Hold on. So there are some people that theorize that they either evolved completely separate from all other species of creatures on the planet before they were introduced as we know them today, or they like fell and evolved from something that came on like an asteroid or something. Like octopus are just like these crazy aliens.
Aliens, yeah.
Yeah, it's also like every year they come out with new facts about octopi that are just like insane, where you're like, oh, they have empathy and they like have understanding of like math equations and shit. You're like, wait, what?
And if you eat their tentacles while they're still alive, they will kill you.
Yeah, they'll hunt you down. They'll start building a mech suit.
That's not what I mean, but that's way funnier. No,
I'll take 8 pies, please.
If if you eat if a tentacle, if they can still suction, they suction to the inside of your throat, like as a response.
Choke you to death.
And you just there's not, if you could try to pull them out, but you might take the whole
your throat out,
the whole throat out, take the whole sarcophagus out of you.
Not my sarcophagus. I need that to swallow.
That's how I'm getting us back on the rails about these Egyptian monsters. Oh yeah, just to complete my thought there, though, I just totally, the Egyptian part of this has lived in my head rent free for so long, and while I'm watching it, I'm going, does this planet just have, on the other side of it, just have jungles and plains and forest, or is this a desert planet, and the reason why they went to Earth, or they just happened to go to Earth and then they were in the desert and found Egyptian people and were like, these.
So you never see the planet really until the very end.
And you do get a wide shot. It looks like it's all sandy,
but you don't see the whole planet. And my assumption was that, you know, if they went to that specific region of Earth to build the pyramids there, and they went to this specific region of this planet to build the pyramids there, then there is probably some sort of natural resource that occurs in those areas that they require in order to build the gates.
Right. Okay.
What's the thing with the pyramid? Where is it? It's like on the middle or something. It's like at perfect middle or something like that.
Oh, that's a bullshit fact. But there's the 3 pyramids of Giza that exist, and they line up perfectly with Orion's belt, I believe. The 3 stars, like that. There is like times of the night where they line up perfectly with those 3 stars. But like the meridian line stuff, that's just like some guy who took a Sharpie and drew it around a globe. It was like, they all connect.
And then he goes, aliens, and makes fucking 75 seasons on the History Channel about it. I also was thinking about how, like, it's really, it adds a lot to the Egyptian mythos to have this sort of tie-in, because it's so mysterious anyway.
Builds on to continue off of, or build off of what you're saying. This movie, supposedly there was a guy that sued the studio because he had submitted a transcript of a screenplay that was very similar to this, and he eventually sued them, and it settled out of court for like a really low amount of money compared to how much money he made. And then he released a novel of like a novelization of his version of the manuscript, or a manuscript of the script. But I don't know. I've never read it, but people say it's like loosely connected, and it's called like Egyptscape or some bullshit or something like that. I can't remember.
Egyptgate.
Well, it sounds a lot like that lady who claimed that she wrote The Matrix and all the Terminator movies.
I was tricked. I was tricked for like minutes, and then I was like, oh, she claims she came up with the idea and then wrote some nonsense after the movies were out.
But also, like, the stuff that she wrote was so vague that it could be connected to any other number of movies if you really wanted to connect them.
I do,
and
like
she also
the
like
idea that the Terminator, and Matrix are sort of.
Well, that's a dumb idea that I came up with in high school after watching those 2 things. I was like, it'd be crazy if this was a prequel to the Matrix, and like this is how the Matrix happened, was Skynet took over, and like that's just what she did, and then decided like, I'm gonna sue all these different studios now and make my bank, because it's vaguely kind of, you're able to make those connections, but anybody can do it, including like a dumb stoned high school student, and be and then John Connor is Neo.
I kind of thought, I just looked it up, and you're right. Like, it's not based on a novel, but I kind of like saw that the novel being brought up when I was doing a little bit of like reading about stuff, and I for a minute thought it was based on a novel, which would make sense. It seems like one of those ideas that is based on a novel. That's not what I'm getting at here.
Could be better as a book.
As somebody, there would probably be more detail, but as somebody who watched the show, do they ever do they go back to the same planet, or do like they just find more Stargates that go to different?
There's like more.
Places.
There's the other Egyptian gods that are like doing the same thing. Like they've also possessed human forms, and there are different planets that they essentially colonized with humans, because like the humans that they have on this other planet were taken from Earth, right? And
Right.
they did the same thing to other planets. So that in this movie, Ra dies, and even some of the characters from this movie are in the show. Like they go back to this planet, and like the son, the son who gets the lighter and stuff, and then the guy from the Mummy and stuff, like that actor who you've seen in a million things, who is sort of like the leader, I guess, of the settlement. Those two, not just their characters, but the actors who play them, recur in SG-1. And then Stargate Atlantis is just like a different team dealing with other water. At first it's all like underwater fish people monsters, and they're just kind of dealing with different
AKA
mythology. Well, they're dealing with different human mythologies, and like Stargates take them to different mythologies, which is cool, fun idea to deal with like our ancient sort of cultures, mythologies, and like have fun storytelling. Nowadays it's like all of them exist, and Captain America and Iron Man are going to talk to them.
Yeah.
that's how we explore that now.
Oh, do we each get a tent? That's nice.
Yeah, that was good. I do like James Spader's character in this movie, and I do, like I was saying, Roland Emmerich, he tries to do the Spielberg thing where you have the everyman, or at least a relatable character, exist. But the difference between Roland Emmerich and Spielberg is that Roland Emmerich's characters almost always have some like incredible specification or ability that other people don't have, like being the president of the United States, or like
And
being a
gunslinger.
guy exactly, or being an amazing fighter pilot who is trying to become an astronaut. Like he tries to present every character as an everyman, but at the end of the day they're like always being taken into something that's never going to happen to anybody, right? But he tries to make you believe that maybe it can happen to you. Where like I'm watching this movie relating to James Spader's character, being like, oh, I'm like a real James Spader, I guess. And then I think about it and I'm like, no, I don't know anything about ancient Egyptian languages. Just because I know what the Eye of Ra is doesn't
Roland
mean I'm
Emmerich
smart.
seemed to, after he hit the nail on the head with Independence Day, he got really into disaster movies. Like,
yes,
he does.
Well,
he wrote the screenplay for Godzilla, which is sort of, that was a slant on that was like more of an environmental slant than the old Godzillas. Well, not even really. It's
with
like
Matthew Broderick.
Yeah,
it's more about nuclear war and stuff than anything else.
But he I didn't realize he made The Day After Tomorrow and 2012. In my head.
And 10,000 BC.
And 10,000
and that fucking moon movie or whatever.
Moonfall. But my point is I thought those two, in my memory, 2012 and The Day After Tomorrow sort of came out at the same time and were sister movies to each other, like how they do, like Volcano and...
No, they're years apart.
They're years apart, and they're by the same guy who was just fascinated by the world coming to an end.
I think that he also writes a lot of his movies. He doesn't write them full on. He always usually has a writing partner, but I think
he writes a sentence on a fucking...
Well, no, what he does is he goes in with a visual he has in his head, right? Like, so for this movie, he when he was in film school, I think he had come up with the idea of like, what if there were spaceships underneath the pyramids, and he wanted to like make a story about like spaceships coming up out of the ground. And then he held on to that idea because he's like, I'll never be able to make this unless I have a budget. And then he took it to his writing partner for this movie, and I think they worked together a couple of other times. Actually, one of the names in the credits, I was like, Tatopoulos. That's the last name of Nick Tatopoulos from the Godzilla movies. He must have named the character after this man that he's working with in Stargate.
And
great. I forgot to look it up before this movie, so I wonder a little bit about that. But I think what he probably, for Independence Day, for example, he probably was like, I picture a giant spaceship that is the size of the entire sky, blowing up every monument in the United States. How cool would that be? And
they probably drew a picture
movie off of that.
They probably drew a picture of a sky-sized spaceship blowing up the White House, which was like, that's what they showed for years when people talked about Independence
That's the
Day.
money shot.
It's in the trailer, I'm pretty sure. Like they didn't.
I think they cut it right before in the trailer. They cut it just before.
Oh yeah,
it's definitely in the trailers for DVDs. Remember when you would like get a movie or whatever?
Yeah.
And that like when DVDs were first starting, and there'd be a trailer for DVDs. Like, look how much better this looks. Well, I'm still watching it on VHS. How am I supposed to know it looks that much better?
Yeah, it looks amazing. Like you've never seen it before.
It's still
like,
in
it looks like shit on my boob tube television.
In spine-shattering 480p.
Yeah, but I mean, at those points, they're banking on the fact that you've already seen it and you're not getting spoiled, but that you're watching that trailer on a DVD already. Like you're seeing it.
In spine-shattering 360i.
You know, he is kind of like a hacky director, and Independence Day, as much as I loved it as a kid, I watched it now and I'm just like, this movie kind of fucking blows. It's not great. Like, I prefer this movie to Independence Day, having not seen it in so long, compared to every time I try to rewatch Independence Day now, where I don't get the same sort of joy out of it. And Roland Emmerich is a gay man, but he fills his movies with so much gay panic comedy that it's like, we get it, man. People are weirded out by gays.
I got the vibe that those two, like, the leader guy in the military and, like, the other guy were sort of, like, low-key gang each other, if you know what I mean.
That one soldier was super nice. He was, like, lapping up the water, like, when they offered them, like, those bowls of water. And then what was the other thing he did?
The two soldiers that like weren't French.
He said sorry for like holding them for like when they were closing the village or whatever it is, and they were like they didn't when they first met them.
He's trying to mime sorry, and he's like shrugging, like
politeness.
But it felt so genuine. You know
politeness
what I mean?
is gay coded in the military world in '90s movies. That's.
I think that was also just like that's just good sort of like Spielbergian like character storytelling without you knowing a lot about this character. You end up knowing so much about the character just because he makes a genuine attempt to apologize for firing his gun in a crowded marketplace or whatever.
I did love that James Spader like didn't like those military dudes were legitimately being dicks to him, like assholes, but it seemed like they wrote it that he was taking it like they were being like buddy or one of the guys. This is how we trail our friends. French Stewart throws a fucking crate
suitcase
at his head, and it like hits him, and he's like,
"Oh, this is just what the military does." I guess
I'm one of the boys. That's how I read that moment, and I thought,
but also like French, like at that moment when he hucks the suitcase and he's like, "Get us the fuck out of here," or whatever, and I'm like, this is the only guy that you just risked a head injury on the only guy that could potentially get you back home.
Also,
French Stewart needs to die.
I'm sure it was easy to like have French Stewart play a tough guy, like early foil, before you saw him play French Stewart, the character. After that, I looked it up, and that show, Third Rock from the Sun, didn't actually end up coming out until '96. So there was a short time when we don't know what he would become, but the second he played squinty-eyed French Stewart, he was that forever. He was the meme version of him, to the point where after that show ended, I don't think he really got that much work.
He was on that '70s show. Like,
he was in a lot of straight-to-DVD movies.
Yeah, and like he was on that 70s
He played
show?
He played Inspector Gadget in Inspector Gadget 2.
Right.
He also played
he was in
one of the Home Alone Sticky Bandits in Home Alone 4.
He played,
but I think that they think they fucked it up. It's such a funny anecdote is that he's playing Marv, but he's dressed like Harry.
Yes.
So it's like either they completely lacked attention to detail and just fucked their names up, or he's playing a character where he's decided to dress up as his old partner.
I thought he was playing Harry, and his new girlfriend looked exactly like Marv, because it's that girl from Stuff. It's that woman from a bunch of stuff. I didn't realize.
Okay, well that might be the case that they wanted to go with, but they still fucked the name up. Like he's dressed like the wrong character.
I have to look this up because I actually liked Home Alone 4. Home Alone 4 is canonical. It's actually the real Home Alone 3 because it's Kevin and all the names are the same, but the parents have split up and they live in different homes. And it's not
I think it's also the first
movie.
one that didn't go to theaters.
Right, because Home Alone 3 did go to theaters, but it was fucking sucked.
Speaking of straight to DVD in the summer, Sandlot has 2 other movies.
Yeah, I know.
In this one, the dog plays baseball with them.
He plays Merv.
Dressed as Harry, dating someone who looks like Marv.
Claire, Missy Pyle plays a character named Vera, and she's dressed like a, you know how there's like at Halloween there's like a slutty maid and slutty, she's kind of slutty Marv. So he's dressed like his old partner and married to a woman who's dressed like him from the movies.
And he's dressed like his old partner.
And he's dressed like his old partner.
I honestly think that they probably just fucked up.
He's promoted to the next level.
Honestly, if that is purposeful and they did it because he's like obsessed with his old life, but now he's the tough guy out of the two of them, then that is kind of genius. But at the same time, I feel like there's no way that they actually did that.
But not for nothing. I'm telling you, like, Home Alone 4 is worth watching because it's at least canonical to the first two movies.
Yeah, Home Alone 3 is worth watching just for the joy of it.
Well, Alan Cumming is in fucking Home Alone 3, which is crazy.
You wash your mouth.
Hey, Cumming. Home Alone 5 and 6, though. Home Alone 5 was the one where...
making a gay joke about one of our most prestigious gay actors of all time.
It's not a gay joke. Just told me to not say Cumming so much. Home Alone 5 is about a haunted house, and I guess, and Home Alone 6 was some bullshit, too. So, like, it's... Steep decline from the first one. Home Alone 2, I think I like better than Home Alone 1, but this is a podcast about Stargate.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was a purpose. We were talking about French Stewart, and we got off track, but it's still a good, worthwhile discussion. I think that, there are some weird logical loopholes and, like, sort of loops you have to jump through as an audience member to be like, okay.
What loopholes? I remember you saying something about this before the episode.
Well, they're using satellite radios to speak to each other.
Okay, yeah, true. Okay.
Did you see them shoot a satellite into the sky? Because I didn't. I don't think that happened.
Do they ever call them satellite radios?
I mean, if you know what a satellite, if they're in so many fucking movies, like, it's not a regular radio they're using.
Didn't they build a thing though that was like a beacon that could be considered when they first got there?
I don't recall seeing anything like that.
Oh yeah,
but
like
also the thing on the other side of the Stargate, they say this is what the rovers
thing at base camp or whatever.
This is what the rover sent back to us, and it's like, how did the rover send that to you? Because you can't get any signal through the Stargate. Where is this technology?
Because the wire's still connected.
All right, see the amount of loopholes that you're trying to, like hoops you're trying to jump through right now.
That's not even a hoop. That's just an answer.
No, the thing is you didn't think about it until now.
Maybe if we don't include science in the science fiction, maybe we focus more on the fiction than the science. I'm pretty sure every time they bring up any kind of space travel in a sci-fi movie, there's always more hoops than just there's a portal that goes to place.
Honestly, it didn't bother me that much. I just wanted to address it because I'm like, yeah, it's kind of a weird situation you get into because it's not even like they're in the same like solar system. Like they could have went to a moon of Saturn or something.
Does, right? It takes this big long ass space.
Yes, we've all seen Event Horizon and Thor: Love and Thunder.
Also, I'm wearing my army fatigues for this episode.
Nice.
Oh, very good. Anyway, I just wanted to address the logical loopholes that you do have to kind of jump through. Logical Stargates.
Whoa! If you don't notice them, though, you don't jump through them.
I noticed them. That's why I brought them up.
I thought they were going to do more of a... I thought they were going to hit us with an interstellar. They're in a different solar system, so time moves.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the point. Ultimately, that's the point that I was trying to make, is that this movie is not dealing with the scientific reality of, like, space travel and, how time and space works based on, like, movement of things through time and space, and you don't have to worry about it. It's just like a fun adventure movie. It might as well as be like getting pulled up in a tornado and going to Oz kind of thing, right? Like you don't have to think about it, and you're more supposed to be concerned with the interaction of James Spader with the human colonists of this planet and Kurt Russell, how he's interacting with people with the emotional baggage that you are presented with at the beginning of the movie. And like there are those moments where he has that like sweet father-son moment with the kid, and he gives him the lighter and he gives him a cigarette. Yes, what would you like to add?
No, it's gonna tie in perfectly with what you're talking about right now.
Okay, so you're gonna keep your hand up until I'm done. All right.
Just say it at
I can put it down if you want.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll remember that you have something to add. Okay. So he, he's frightened them a couple of times at this point, but he's now sort of having a moment with this kid, and his son accidentally shot himself in the head or whatever. I assume it was the head.
Whoa! Why
they don't
go
actually say
there?
That. Because that's where you die instantly. I don't know, if he shot himself in the foot or the hand, he probably would have survived.
He could have shot himself in the stomach, honestly. He
Okay,
reacts to the kid going for the gun pretty hard.
All we know is that the kid shot himself by accident. And he gives the kid a cigarette. The kid messes up and coughs a bunch, and then in a moment of sort of like catharsis or unification, he stomps out his cigarette as well, because he's like, all right, we don't need to smoke these around each other. And then he lets the kid keep the lighter, which is kind of nice and cool. And you can see him both appreciating the company of this kid, because his kid has been gone for however long. And you also understand that he does have like an ultimate sort of like parental urge it's like a void, and he probably hasn't had it in a long time. Yeah. And then he reaches for the gun, and he like freaks out, and it's like, no. Takes it, and he's like, it's dangerous. It's fucking dangerous. And then the kid runs off, and you realize like, oh man, he probably shouldn't have reacted that way, but he's reacting that way because he's still steeped in the trauma of his own child accidentally shooting himself. Anyway, yes, what would you like to add, Caitlin?
It tied in better with what you were saying exactly at the time that it happened, but almost at the same time when I was watching this movie. So timeline of things, I get an urge that I kind of want to have a smoke, and then they have their moment. The kid tries it, doesn't like it. Kurt's like, yeah, you're right, it's no good anyway, and chucks his out. I'm like, yeah, fuck, what am I thinking? I don't need one. Fuck that. So I didn't do it. This movie stopped me from smoking.
That's good. That's good that it stopped you from smoking cigarettes.
Man, if only every movie could have a scene where someone's like, ugh, disgusting. Maybe you would stop smoking altogether.
I thought it was really funny, though, that he's like, here, 12-year-old, have this cigarette.
Let him do it.
Because he knew he was going to, he looked at him, even that looked like, oh, he's going to cough for sure.
I think that, is like, he knew him. He's more like, I don't think he was that young. I think he was probably like late teenager.
Maybe 16?
Yeah, and I think that he recognized him as like being sort of like a strong-headed kid, because like the kid was the first one that sort of like approached them when they came to the town or whatever, right? And he's like, he saw that he had like a certain amount of bravery and stuff. He was one of the only ones to fully engage with them. Obviously, that's like a byproduct of the movie existing, and we don't want to have too many characters that speak absolutely no English and no subtitles for us to understand them in.
It's kind of like Avatar 2, where just eventually, once the main character understands them, the audience.
It's almost like It's almost like they were speaking English, and then they start speaking English. Like,
yeah. I told you guys colonizer. I watched Parasite and didn't know how to turn on subtitles, right?
Yeah, you've told that story 100 times, and I always follow it up with my story about
when you got an actual parasite. You're like, oh man, that time I had a parasite.
No, the movie with the squid, with the lobster aliens.
Arrival.
Nope. The one where the guy turns into an alien slowly.
Oh, District 9.
District 9/11.
District 9/11. Oh my god.
Risky.
Oh, I also wrote down when they finally do have subtitles in the movie. I wrote that down. That was my one number where I was
your
like, holy
Avatar?
shit.
What's your Avatar
86
too, Mo?
minutes into the
Oh,
movie.
shit,
That's
really?
when they finally gave us our first subtitle.
There's only like 25 minutes left in the movie at that point.
Yeah. I know. They
But
did it late in the game.
Like you said, it was for an artistic reason, and it was.
Well, no, it was
can't
because
argue.
they needed to have two characters who didn't speak any human language that exists on planet Earth now speak to each other. Because the thing is they're not speaking the Egyptian language or Arabic as it exists today. They're speaking a dialect that like we don't know what it sounded like.
Went on a different shoot, yeah.
Yeah, I think James Spader at one point says like, it's obviously a little bit different because it evolved for 5,000 years in the other direction or a completely different direction without writing or reading being allowed. So it just evolved phonetically, I guess, like through speech.
Yeah, he says that like I just didn't understand. I didn't get the accent. I didn't understand the mouth feel. Didn't understand.
Yeah, I think what he says is like once you learn the vowels.
Yeah.
Yeah, how does that help you?
I think it was a joke.
Yeah, but also he's like
he wasn't serious.
He's a linguist that specializes in this specific area of the world and this specific history, and also he's got superpower. He's got this superpower writing in the script.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean about the Roland Emmerich like superhuman. Everybody's a superhuman in some way. Like Viveca A. Fox can somehow outrun an explosion, even though she's a stripper. Like her character is a stripper, and she's able to dodge the same explosion that destroyed all of New York.
She's good at that upside down pole movement.
It's true. She does do that in the movie.
Interesting.
I will be right back.
We talk about the sandstorm. We get a little bit of a backstory of Raw at the beginning, that was like brief, and then we get a more fleshed out version of it where that kid that he took over his body was brave enough to approach this unknown object.
I'll hit you with another moment that wasn't in the original. Steve was right. Later inside the military research facility, General West and Colonel O'Neill look at the Horus remains in storage there and have a clandestine conversation about the dangerous mission ahead. They know, but aren't telling anyone else, that there is likely to be hostile aliens on the other side.
Yeah. I liked that scene, actually, and I figured it was removed as well because of, like I said, I was watching it with somebody over Zoom, and
it's directly linked to the other scene that was cut.
Yeah, exactly.
It wouldn't make much sense if they.
But it does also tie in with how they win at the not how they win, but what happens before how they win at the end. When I first watched it the other night, when that scene came up, when they're looking at the mantle, like sliced off piece, I kind of looked at I didn't know what I was looking at, and then today rewatching it, I was like, "Oh, that's where they got sliced." And
like
they're
the
getting
teleporter, the ring teleporter thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I still don't really understand. Like, it was almost like the teleporter, because it was like the size of one of those teleporter rings. You're right, but I don't know how that. It's almost like the teleporter ring was coming down, and then the Stargate fell on top of it or something.
I got the impression that teleporter ring was a way of explaining our view of the traditional alien, how they come over top of a cow, and then the beam comes down.
Okay, yeah.
That's how I interpreted that. I do have one interpretation that I didn't really get. I hope you guys can shed some light on it for me. And I watched. It's not like it was one of those things where I just missed it because I looked away. I watched this scene 4 times to try to figure out what this meant. Yes. So
Jesus.
Daniel Jackson is playing with the people in the town. It's the night before they're getting ready to go fight. And then his girlfriend walks over, the love interest.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're making fun of him for being, I guess, her husband.
Because he's not doing husband work. He's
Yeah,
doing,
and then they're like, "That's not husband work," and he goes over, and she's like, I'm sorry, I didn't tell them." And then he's like, "Husband." So were they when she was like given to him by the chieftain? Was she now his wife?
So they all assumed they had sex. I think that the whole village assumed that they had sex, and I think in that culture, them pairing sexually means that they're now like bound, like they're married now.
Because at the end she's like, you don't want me because we didn't have sex immediately, and it's kind of, I had one of those moments at the beginning. I was like, if this was an action movie, they would have banged and they would have shown everything for way too long. But they do the opposite here, where he's like,
and it is an action movie. There's a lot of action in this movie.
That's true, but it's more of an adventure, like we were talking about. But
yeah,
he's like, "What are you talking about? I'm so into you." And then he closes the curtain, which moves the scene instead of getting an 80s bangathon moment,
right?
Which just
a Total Recall sex scene, or a Terminator sex scene,
Terminator 1,
or a Blade Runner awkward kissing scene. Meow, meow, meow.
I don't but those are bigger movies. Like, the worse the movie gets, the longer the weird sex scenes get too. Like,
I mean, there was a time and a place, and I think that a lot of people of our age can probably appreciate those raunchy sex scenes from 80s movies, because you could at least find them on Showcase late at night when you're like not having access to any pornography in your entire life.
That's fair, but as an adult, I don't
like sex scenes in movies anymore, and I don't think that they really need to exist. Yeah.
They bog down the storyline, and they're uncomfortable if you're like, they're uncomfortable
watching it with your mom, and then a weird sex scene starts happening in Game of Thrones, and you're like, ugh.
Even watching a weird sex scene with my wife, we're both just like,
true, yeah.
Are we supposed to?
It doesn't make you get horny, yeah.
What?
Doesn't get you revved up?
No, it does the opposite of that. It makes me feel sick to my stomach.
I don't feel sick, but I feel like, okay, we get it. Like, they're having sex. We don't need to see them have sex. Just have them close the curtain slowly and start kissing or something, and then end it. We know what they're gonna do. We don't. It's like Team America, when they're like, they show them do it in like every position or whatever, the puppets. Like, that's how I feel about every sex scene now. Like,
the extended version of that movie has a 10-minute version of that part, which is hilarious. He like pukes on her and stuff.
Anyway, we've made this point before. It's like, unless it's completely pertinent to the story, they had the scene in Starman, like we talked about during our Carpenter month.
Yeah,
where like you needed to know that they had sex, and he's like, I have a chest vagina. Input your egg into my chest vagina, please. But it was important to the story that we knew that they had sex, but they didn't like overdo it or overcook it, I guess. And we've talked about the example in The Boys recently, where like that's part of the story to show like that certain people have to have sex using their superpowers, that they cannot like finish the job, kind of thing.
They also are like bottoms off only, which is like also hilarious. I think they still have the top part of their gear.
Yeah, they have their super. Yeah, they have their super shirts on for extra protection. And then, Anyway, I was gonna say, like, there are certain things where it's like, if you have to show certain things, like in terms of passion, like it makes sense. Like the scene in Terminator, it is kind of interesting to show the amount of passion that the two of them have for each other, not knowing each other, because he knows exactly who she is, and he realizes what he's doing is that he's essentially creating this savior of Earth.
Son, yeah.
And so it is like it is kind of important to have that level of passion there. But
it was a cheesy 80s action movie for the most part.
Yeah, exactly. But then if you flip to another James Cameron example, the scene where they have sex in the stage car in the belly of the ship, you don't see a sex scene. You just see like the steamed up windows and the hand. Like, and like,
when the
that's almost more powerful to me. Is like
plunge their head tails together.
That's not how they have sex. We have determined this already.
Yeah, but that's how they connect to each other.
basically they're having sex, but they're connecting their like feelings together, so they're heightening one another's orgasms.
They do
That's
it
even better
standard
than
69.
Okay, let's move on from this discussion. I don't like it anymore. It's almost as uncomfortable as watching an unimportant sex scene in a movie.
That's what I was trying to evoke. I was trying to just be gross until we can move on from it.
Mm-hmm.
They get the story of Raw.
We just got 2 viewers from that, so like we have our like all-time
people
high.
are like, talk more about head tail sex, please.
They put their tails together and then they do
and then all those little
69.
gross tendrils touch.
Yeah.
Or when they do it to an animal, it'll do it, and then the animal's eye will go really wide, like that meme where it's like Sully from Monsters Inc. going like, "Oh," his eyes get really big.
I haven't seen one in a while.
Oh God, gross. I wanted to say that Roland Emmerich movies almost never have like a main character. There's usually 2 or 3, and this movie is another example of them having more than one.
I think that Independence Day has 3 main characters. It has Will Smith, it has the president, and it has what's his face?
Name's Jeff. Goldblum.
Chef Goldblum.
Chef Goldblum here. Paprika.
Ooh, paprika.
So
I think I brought this up in a previous episode, but I got that feeling of verklempt-ness when
verklempt, please.
The scientific word for the getting choked up.
Right.
Getting choked up with emotion.
Right.
Spelt with a V, but according to Google, pronounced with an F.
Verklempt.
You can just say you got choked up.
Yeah, but this is 2 syllables versus I got choked up with emotion.
What made you choked up?
When the villagers, so we've been all over the place, but
that's what we do now.
There is a point where the villagers fight back, and I got choked up a little bit. I got teary-eyed a little bit.
Wow, that's crazy.
I have a moment.
It's insane.
I have a moment. I have a similar moment I'd like to talk about. It's not similar so much that it is a moment when I didn't know much about Kurt Russell at the beginning, and I thought that when they sort of imply that they have to activate him to bring him back, I thought he was a sleeper cell with a baby's brain, who
MK Ultra or whatever.
Yeah, who was like somehow trapped as a child because he was sitting in a child's room. There's a bit of exposition moments.
This is why you can't watch the movie while you're at work.
No. That's literally no. That's what they show. They show a man.
In the moment.
Show a man sitting in a kid's room.
He hides his gun under his pillow.
I know. I thought he was gonna do himself because he was so messed up from being a sleeper agent. Then they give us a tidbit of exposition when the 2 military soldiers, military police get into the car and they're like, his kid got his hands on a gun and died accidentally, and I was like, oh, that makes way more sense. I'm amazed, Steve.
It took you that long? No, you're joking.
No,
oh my God,
I thought
so funny.
At first I was like, oh, weird, he's got a baby's brain and he's a military agent with a baby's brain. But then it's like, oh, he must have seen some shit.
You guys ever see the movie Sam and Josh with the 2 brothers that travel?
Oh my God, I think that's the hardest I've ever laughed on the podcast.
Yeah,
before.
I think it's never broken.
Funny.
Is Sam and Josh
just picturing you watching it while you're like doing work, like at your tech support job, and you like look over and you're like, oh my God, Kurt Russell has a baby's brain in this movie. Oh, hiding his gun under his child pillow. Oh, weird. Why is he staring at that picture of him as a child? It must be him as a child playing baseball.
Absolutely, that's where I went. I was like, what? He's in his old room.
Imagine he was wearing the baseball uniform.
Yeah.
I'll take one of those wigs.
That wig rules. I love that wig. He had his he's got a little boy haircut, a little boy hairstyle.
Dude, that was funny. I did not for a moment think that. but I'm glad you told me that you did.
When you were like 7?
When I was 7? No, I would have been like, why does he have a gun? I wouldn't have been like, why is this adult man have the mind of a child.
Look, I didn't know that James Spader and Kurt Russell were in this movie, so anything could have happened throughout the thing. It ended up being pretty predictable throughout. It ended up being a pretty predictable.
Well, I mean, the thing is
space
like,
romp. Well, they weren't even in space. They were just on a planet they were in space Egypt.
yeah, they were in a planet in a solar system, or not a solar system, another galaxy that's like
They're
on
at the
the
end of
other
the
side of the
known
universe.
universe.
I'm sure that it's probably one that exists. I think they paid enough detail to stuff in this movie that they probably just were like, let's make it in this one. You can look up a galaxy or a universal chart on your Google now and find a number of other galaxies that exist around us.
I have to plug my computer in. I'll be right back.
But
Right here.
because like even the idea of it even being within the Milky Way would have been fine. That's far enough away that even the closest solar system to us is like super duper far away, but the closest galaxy to us, which I believe is the Andromeda galaxy, is like so far away that it would take us like 400,000 years to get there.
Closest, yeah.
And it's the closest one, yeah. Or I think it's like 400 years at the speed of light or something for us to get there. I don't know the exact number, but it's far. But to be able to instantaneously travel to the other side of the universe, the known universe, is pretty wild.
I got a question for
Pretty
you guys.
boring that it's just all desert.
What
Yeah.
is the philosophy of this movie, or what is the question this movie is asking you that it's not asking you up front?
Kind of about like what it means to be your own person, what it means to be under one ruler. Also, kind of like the implications of traveling. Like, I got a lot of that vibe of the Prime Directive from Star Trek. You know, like, can't mess with like under. You can't mess with civilizations who aren't advanced, and it felt like people from the future coming down. They immediately bow to them. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Those are sort of the themes that aren't directly in your face. At face value, it's very much about these military dudes who want to go fucking blow it up from the other side, bruh.
I think there's like different individual thematic journeys for each character in terms of like, you know, what does this character see in this quest? What does this character see in this quest? And what do they see collectively in the quest? But also like, what are the implications of humanity and like how far reaching is it? And, you know, how easily influenced can we be based on like one person who seems as though that they are more powerful than all of us, right? So like Ra in terms of the character in this movie is not only the ruler of the planet that they travel to, but at one time was the ruler of our planet, and also was able to, you know, flex their ability over our people. But we as a species were able to understand that Ra wasn't a god. They were a ruler, you know, exercising their power over us, and they overthrew Ra. And he escaped to one of its other planets, taking humans with him, starting again, outlawing reading and writing. And like, you know, that's sort of an allegory for just human rule in general, like in how every civilization has existed. There's always people that are at the top that are able to exercise their strengths over the people below them in order to get them to build them pyramids. And like, that's what we are as a society, building up countries and
corporations,
like systems that facilitate existence and further existence and power and wealth. And, you know, in this movie, he just wants to live forever in sort of a regal state, I guess. He doesn't seem like he has any other goal, which I kind of was like, this guy has no goal other than to, within the movie, send the nuke back and destroy Earth as revenge for what they did to him. Which is kind of like a weak goal, you know. It's the same sort of deal with Krull. where except in this movie he had kind of these cool henchmen that could go out and same problem I had with Krell is like they showed up kind of late and they sort of just like heavy fisted a bunch of people and then receded, and then they just had to fight them, and then once they got through them they could kill Ra. I did like that Ra was able to escape at the end, and then they were able to use a bunch of like smoking guns to essentially be victorious. But sorry, you asked me about the themes. I think that that's the ultimate sort of like theme overall is how easily human beings can be manipulated, but also how we can band together and strength amongst the weakest ends up being stronger than even the strongest tip of a pyramid. And then, like I said, each character has their own individual sort of thematic journey and realizing purpose and understanding who they are throughout. One character decides that this is where he needs to be at the end of the movie. The other character realizes that like he hasn't lost everything and he does have maybe a little bit more to go back to.
Right.
Word.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I
think I got a little too into that.
No, that was good. He asked his philosophy, and you gotta sort of think outside the box for that. I'm out of notes, and I'm ready to do my final thoughts personally.
Well, then take it away, Jason.
Have you guys covered everything?
I just have a couple of like interesting facts I could throw at you about the movie.
Oh, actually, yeah. Before we do that, let me do my final. I've got 2 more scenes that were not in the movie. So the scene where this one's pretty subtle. Daniel Jackson convinces the general to let him go through the Stargate because he guarantees he'll be able to find the address back to Earth on the other side and dial the team home. In the theatrical version, O'Neill turns to the general and says, "It's your call." In the director's cut, his line about Jackson is, "He's full of shit." And finally, when the sandstorm approaches the alien city of Nagata, the team loses contact with those soldiers they left back at the pyramid and try to leave. Skara and the others stop them and shut the doors, which we see in the movie, causing a hostile reaction from the soldiers that nearly gets the kids shot. Only when Skara shows O'Neill the approaching storm do they figure out that they aren't being held against their will. Oh, okay, that whole segment was a full-on scene that wasn't in the theatrical release.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, that was a complete scene, because I was like, holy fuck, they just almost shot a bunch of kids up by accident.
Too violent.
Very violent. Yeah. Not for the theater kids, but for the home video release kids.
Well, I already mentioned the stolen manuscript, but did you know that this movie originally had a budget of $25 million, and then once they started filming it, they're like, we need actually $52 million, please.
We need the twice amount?
Yeah, they needed more than double the amount of money to even just get it done. And luckily MGM showed up and was like, you know what, this seems like it might be a banger, and you did pretty well with Universal Soldier, so go for it, man.
Then they spent all the money on the CGI for those helmets that, while don't look awful compared to some of the other movies we've done recently, and the CGI in those was still the worst CGI in the movie. Like the most like...
But I thought the helmets were real. Were the helmets not real?
No, dude.
The helmets,
none of them?
There are practical helmets, yes, but when they collapse away, that's CGI.
Oh yeah, that part. Yeah, I'm not talking about that. The actual helmet though was dope.
I know, you're the confused one, not us. you're confused.
Oh.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, the helmets are real, but when they collapse, it looks pretty shitty. But at the same time, you know, like it also was a precursor to, you know, like Iron Man helmet. Like any MCU helmet now does that, like folding away stuff.
And the Transformers as well have that same like things moving while they.
And you know, it's not a wholly new, like anime had been doing that kind of stuff from the 80s, but like this was sort of one of the first examples of it being in a big budget Hollywood movie where it looks cool enough that to see it at that time you were probably like, whoa, did you see that shit?
The Batmobile shield.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Which looks hilarious now.
Yeah, it looks so bad. These helmets even kind of look better than the Batmobile shield. like we were talking about before, like the Universal Soldier was his sort of like big first movie that led him into this one to get him the backing to have a huge budget. But then this movie, though it was like critically kind of shit upon by a lot of movie critics, it did really well financially, and it had like almost a Star Wars level of devotion to it fan wise, which is why it spawned like 4 other TV shows. But there are also people who love the TV show that didn't even know that this existed, like people who are of a younger generation than any of us.
Stargate holds Stargate was like a Saturday morning sort of in the same block as the Hercules and Xena shows and Andromeda. I feel like it was one of those Saturday morning serial sci-fis.
And it did the similar thing to Star Trek, where it continued to have spin-offs, right? Like it had multiple series, all the way up until I was in my like early 20s, like where I was like, this shit is still on and they're still making new ones. And then I started watching Atlantis and I was like, this is pretty cool. Like I liked it.
I was trying to make a joke at the very beginning of the show and I couldn't think of the name of the show, but it came to me, and it was Sequest, which was a Saturday morning live action show about some kids that lived in an underwater.
Every Friday night when it was like aired for the first time. Me and my dad were watching it. Like we like loved underwater shit for some reason. I think because we were both terrified of the ocean. So like, it's crazy that people just have a whole quest there.
If you guys want to get freaked out, watch Fall. You got to do it.
Yeah.
Watch what?
I will. I haven't watched it yet, but I will.
Oh, Fall.
Speaking of Stargate.
Yeah. Fall is one of those. It falls into that realm of movies, like the one where the people are out in the ocean, and there's like a shark circling them, and they're stuck in the ocean, and also the one where, there's the one where the girl has to like get from one sandbar to the other, but there's like a shark, and basically it's like a shark movie.
Yeah, I know the one. I can't remember what it's called, but I know what you're talking about. But
where she's alone, like, right? She's on a sandbar, and then like I think she's already bit by the shark, and she has to get.
I think she like cuts herself on a reef,
or she cuts herself on a reef,
and then she sees a shark, and she's like, "What do I do?" But I don't know. I feel like I've seen it, but I think it was one of those movies I put on in the afternoon when I was already sleepy, and then fell asleep, and then woke up, and I was like,
"No, she made it.
She's still on the rock," and then fell asleep again.
Yeah.
Kaylin, yes.
Before we get to our final thoughts, I have a question for you guys.
Okay.
Sure. Before you get to your question, I have a couple more interesting facts, but also you can ask your question first.
No, you go.
No, you're gonna forget your question. Let Kaylin ask his question.
All right,
Kaylin, you go down. First. I can't forget it.
Oh, is it like a philosophical question that's gonna take a long time? Because I can bang these facts out.
No, it's a yes or no question.
Oh, okay. The desert shoots caused a lot of people to pass out during the filming, which was kind of, it's an interesting fact because they also made that temple entrance was also built in the desert, and it would get it was 7 stories tall for one, which is pretty fucking crazy. They built a 7-story building essentially just to shoot against. But they would have to stop shooting at 11 a.m. every day on that thing because it would get so hot that like your shoes would melt on the stone or whatever that they had created. And so they could only film from like nighttime till 11 a.m. And they're like, all right, we have to wrap this thing for the day because everyone will die if they go near it. No, they would have to wait until the sun started to set, and then it would retain the heat so much they'd have to wait. They'd have to wait until it just like cooled off enough for people to be able to stand on it. The other thing is the throne room. They could not find a soundstage large enough for them to build the throne room inside of, which it was a pretty grand set, man. It looked pretty cool. But it
now they would just do it on a fucking CGI, like a
they used the volume to do it. But they had to build it inside of an airline hangar. It's kind of, I miss those days where they would build giant ass sets because there was just something more tactile about them being able to set up like a static room and have people moving around, and it's real and it's fake. I like now when I don't know something's fake and I find out it's real, it's surprising, but it's become so innocuous with not being real anymore that I feel like I can't tell.
While I'm not enjoying Andor as much as I enjoyed The Mandalorian as far as the story, because it's a lot more like the politics of like the original trilogy. It's more of that vibe, or not?
Yeah.
Sorry, the new trilogy or the prequel trilogy. It's more in the vein of those movies. That stuff kind of is lost on me because I don't care as much. I like the space opera fucking gunslinger shit. The on-set
sets and stuff,
sets and the practical backgrounds fucking blow me away, and just the vibe of the new sort of where Star Wars is headed, it feels like.
Yeah, they did a good job of like finding areas of the actual world that feel alien enough that they could shoot there and just have a couple people in weird frog heads
like the board
walking around in the background.
like the boardroom, or like parts of buildings that don't really feel like they feel,
or even
like,
that boardwalk where it feels sort of like a Miami boardwalk, but they have it with extensions so you can see stuff in the background, but you can tell that that's real as like the drone shots are coming down, and it feels like a real space.
The building,
because it is a real space.
The building where I keep calling them like Empire cops because they're not full on like
we're the Empire cops.
The Empire cops. That show reminds me of the Halo game ODST. It reminds me of like the ODST smaller, like the smaller scale.
They're not
Empire.
as good. Yeah, they basically are sort of the Bespin guards from Empire Strikes Back. So they're not the Empire, but they're working with the Empire.
The like courtyard of that building that they use a bunch of times feels like it's just some building in like Chicago. You know what I mean? Like, just kind of looks.
But they do enough to it to make it feel Star Warsy. Yeah.
I keep sorry. One last thing that I just want to say. I'm not done the series, but it's so not Star Wars that every time a TIE fighter like flies by, I look at my wife and say, "Remember, this is a Star Wars show." Remember, because it's so not what you expect.
Well, I mean, if you like Star Wars enough that it's been ingrained in you since you were a child, it's completely a Star Wars show the entire time. Everything you see, you're like, oh my god! But they're doing it in a way that fan servicey stuff is not being shoved into your eyeballs, you know?
Yeah.
So, Kaylin, what was your question for us?
Oh, that's right.
See? He would have forgotten.
I forgot.
No, I wrote it down.
I know.
So, my question, before we get into final thoughts, is would you guys stay behind?
Oh, hell no. No,
I imagine everybody smelled really bad.
Yeah, I get why he stayed behind, because he wasn't really... They didn't play up...
to pay.
They didn't play up as much that he wasn't welcome in like the modern world, but I did get the vibe that there was probably cutting room floor script elements.
Everyone at the seminar walked out on him.
If I was James Spader, if I was James Spader, absolutely I would have stayed behind. Yes, but if I was Kurt Russell, no,
he just got a new lease on life. He's like, wait, I do have family technically.
I'm not asking
my wife is
them
alive.
Or them. I'm asking you guys.
If I'm personally me,
they don't have video games in 1,000 years. In the
what am I supposed to do?
Life is a video game over there.
I gotta eat a giant roasted frog that tastes like chicken.
I don't want to go to.
I feel like
everything tastes like chicken.
But I feel like that roasted thing was probably a special dish that they cooked for them as a welcoming thing that they only cook for special guests. And once you become part of that community, you probably have to start hunting your own space toads.
Certain things in movie and television bore me, and I'll tell you, A1, but with a bullet at the top of the list, it's the fucking desert. Bores the shit out of me. So I would definitely not stay in Desert World. I might stay in like Avatar.
What about like, Desert Ruins? I like Desert Ruins a lot.
Yeah, but like I'm not an archaeologist. I might stay in Avatar.
I just mean like movies.
I might
like
stay
on
Pandora. I kind of see where Jake Sully was like, yeah, I gel with this shit with my weird blue cat.
Send me to Coruscant, baby. Coruscant from Star Wars.
Yeah, I want to go to what's that demon planet from Star Wars? That's all like hell and
Mustafar?
Fire. I want to go to Mustafar. I want to check that shit out.
That place looks terrible.
There's
you can't
witches.
walk around. There's
wraith witches.
No, that's Dathomir. That's a different planet.
Dathomir from fucking Fallen Order.
Yeah, okay. Dathomir is a different planet. That's
Oh,
they're all
Mustafar is the fire planet at the
lava.
end of. Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, Dathomir. Dathomir
Yeah.
fucked me up. I liked that place a lot. There were spiders. They were crazy.
You can just admit that you want to fuck a bald lady.
I want to fuck
That's
a wraith.
all right, Caitlin. Yes, I think.
We
That's
we got a
That's
viewer.
a
Somebody
hard one to
walked in
follow
right
up
as I
to.
said that. That's the best thing about
I
seeing
want
the,
to
like,
fuck a wraith.
seeing the little
Yeah.
counter go up and down on Twitch.
Yeah.
I know somebody walked in to hear me say, "I want to fuck a wraith."
Or me saying, just admit you want to fuck a bald lady. Go ahead.
I
Tom,
have-
what's your-
Oh, they left.
What? They left.
Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead, Caleb. I'm having too much fun.
That's hopefully the goal.
That's part of it.
So there's one other thing that I was thinking about maybe introducing to you guys if you're interested on board.
I love segments.
Through work, we have this thing called What Went Well, Even Better. And so what went well is like kind of like your favorite, whatever it is, right? So character, scene, score, whatever, like whatever, blah, 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 whatever you kind of felt was what went well. And then even better is your this little tweak, like, you could have done this better.
I can hit that real
Right.
hard.
So
Brennan.
what would you improve? Yeah. No, that's a fun one. I like that.
I can
too.
hit that hard. That kind of reminds me of a thing that I wanted to jack from the BS Bargain Bin podcast, which you can download at midnight right after this. They have the same release schedule as us. Their episodes go on
Nice.
right after we stop.
That was coincidental too. We
We-
didn't plan that either.
No, but we do a live show, and I get to give them a little boost basically every week because there's always a relationship. But I think that the CGI in this movie is something that went well. The CGI and the practical effects, I think, were the best part of this movie. Like this for like. I learned, and I'll talk about this in my final thought. I love 90s movies and the way they look, the way that somebody who is our kind of age in the early 2000s and the 90s probably loved the way 70s and 80s movies look. And when I watch an 80s movie, I'm a little bit on board, but the further back from about 1986 you go, the more bored I am immediately visually.
It's because it was still old cinematographers.
Yeah.
It wasn't
So-
the young guns.
Just more things faster. I think
Yeah.
in the 90s they
Well,
started to
that was
do
the main criticism of Crawl that I think I had was that it was clearly all made by old men.
By
who
an
were,
old
like,
man.
trying to be like, I think this is what the
This
kids
is what
want.
the kids
whereas,
want.
you know,
We'll
like
make
Star
a
Wars
action
and-
figure out of them.
where Lucas and Spielberg and Scorsese and all them were coming up with new ways to film things interestingly. These guys were still being like, you remember the old Errol Flynn days when you would swing on a chandelier? Let's
So-
do that 5 times.
So for even better, I think if they limited it even more, I think the helmets were a little bit too
CGI?
much. Yeah, I think if they somehow tried to just make a practical helmet that was they spent money on like the technicality of a helmet that it didn't have to look as it looked cool. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
It was a cool effect. It was just stuck out like a sore thumb. Where the rest of the CGI, the best
They could have definitely done like a stop frame animation
or that, yeah.
and composited it around them. You would have been able to see the lines around it, but it would have looked more tactile and real.
One of my
Yeah.
favorite things in this whole fucking movie is when they travel through the Stargate, and there's that top of the screen, bottom of the screen, like those like
Stars or whatever?
straight line,
The wisps?
the straight
Yeah.
line. Wisps.
I'm assuming it's stars.
Yeah, like sort of the way like kind of like when you go hyperdrive in Star
Yeah.
Trek or Star Wars, like it's sort of the same kind of
It's called warp drive and
Yeah,
hyperspace.
whatever.
God damn it.
parsec. or
Also,
whatever.
that screensaver on the old Windows
Yeah.
computer.
This movie also had that. I've talked about this before, but you know the tunnel, the CGI tunnel they use,
Oh, yeah,
the one
yeah.
CGI tunnel they've used for fucking 40 years. This
Yeah,
had it in
Sometimes
it.
they put fire around it to
Yeah.
make it look like you're going to hell.
You can see
in
a-
Spawn.
We
can
always
see
get
a
one of
really,
these.
You can see a really clean version of it in the original Final Fantasy VII game because you're just going through like a tunnel. Anyway,
Yeah.
that's my answer for that question. That's a good. I like this segment. Write that down.
I did.
Sick. What went well? What could have been better?
What went well
Uh,
even better?
what went
Stolen
belly?
directly from what bank do you work for?
No,
Scotiabank?
WWWEB.
What is it? Scotiabank?
Scotia bunked.
TD? Oh,
To
yeah,
be determined.
They probably don't like being talked about on podcasts.
So I do think that the score is amazing. I don't want to use up all my time on the score, but I realized quite quickly once I pressed play that I've been using the music from Stargate in my D&D campaigns for a long time, and I completely forgot about it. Even probably back when Jason used to play, just for ambience or travel music or like that sort of like and like having that kind of play throughout because it has these powerful elements to it that aren't too worldly or too specific in terms of like a region of earth music. It's more sort of like adventurous in its tone. But I do agree with what you're saying about the CGI. I think it is a little bit lackluster. It could have been much better. It's hard for me to pin down one particular thing. I like this segment, but I'm like, this is too much to throw on me all of a sudden. I wish I had time to think about this a little bit more.
Next week, you'll be able to hit this one out of the park.
I was thinking about messaging you guys beforehand, not to surprise you, but at the same time, I kind of felt like, ooh.
Okay, so here's what it's going to be.
I want to do this earlier in the show also because this could be long.
I think that the character of Ra was done really well, but I do think that it could have been done slightly better. And what I would have done would be during that moment where he is sort of explaining to James Spader's character what he is, what he was, what he aspires to be, if he had some sort of grander threat beyond just placing the bomb through the portal with a bunch of Stargate metal to blow up all of Earth. Like, have him telling this story and then, like, show, even if they're just sort of, like, dreamlike wisps of these other gates opening up on other alien worlds, just completely destroying the other planets and, like, you know, telling a tale of, like, him versus the other gods of his race, like, being like, I was able to extend my life and, like, you know, Anubis was able to extend theirs, and like, you know, like give us a snippet of something else that could be even considered sequel bait if you want to.
Because he's been doing it for a while, kind of thing.
Well, he's been around since 10,000 BC. That's when he first acquired this body, right? And like he uses the sarcophagus to keep the body young and alive. He even says that at one point, like that's why I selected your race because your bodies are so easily repaired.
Yeah,
I like that lore. But give me a little bit more reason as to why you're here and what you're going to do next. Because all I know about him is that he wants to destroy Earth. And to the credit of the movie, maybe that's all they wanted to give us because they didn't want to complicate him. But like, I would have liked a little bit more of a like galactic level threat. You know, like I want to see his destruction told, even if it's just pictures. You know, like when James Spader is going through and he's deciphering all the hieroglyphs and all that kind of stuff. What if he found a mural of just like Ra's complete annihilation of like other gods and stuff? And that
for how big a tale this is, it was surprisingly small scale for the implications of Earth. You know, it was very like nobody at home knew. That whole mission control at home had no idea they were about to get 10 times a nuke done to them, or 100 times the nuke, or whatever that fucking special.
It would have been even great to like if they showed like some like an exactly like the human mission control, but they're like a bunch of weird fish people who are like like they're wearing berets and stuff as like a nuke comes through and just like blows them up, and like it shows him do what he planned to do to Earth like a couple of other times or something. I don't know. I really like the character of Ra, but I think the character of Ra could have been, without removing the mystery, just even more threatening feeling, you know? Also, what was up with Ra's, like, army of children? What I was thinking was that, like, he was maybe using his body to, like, have sex with his followers and create children, which would be, like, those children were his children around him. And were they, like, technically just human, or were they high because he's possessing the form of this kid? Are they like hybrid alien human hybrid things?
That's something that I was sort of trying to think about. Were they also just bodies for him to go into? But he's
maybe,
at this point, like they make it very specific. It's been 1,000 years on this planet as well, right? So he's
been over. It's
that
been
reminds me of what I wanted to mention
years.
earlier. The slaves or whatever, right? Like they even Raw himself, when he's in public, he has that huge headdress. And then his bodyguards have those huge headdresses, and James Spader's character is like, "These are your gods," whatever. It takes off like the shitty CGI you were talking about, and sees that they're just people. So when I saw that, I was like, the slaves think that that's what their regular thing is, and the ones working in the temple, being like taking care of them or whatever, are like still slaves but have it better.
Yeah, I think that he selected them because of probably their strength and battle prowess and maybe intelligence. Right. Who knows? Again, that's another thing that could have been done better. We could have learned a little bit more about these other characters, but that's the reason that we got a Stargate TV show, is because people were curious about that kind of stuff.
They wanted more.
Yeah.
Just like they want more. Hey, did you see this one? Mine was simple. For what went well, like there's a lot of things that we talked about tonight. The thing that I kept coming back to was the story. I really enjoyed the story. It was well, like I felt it was well executed, especially like it's dated sort of in a sense, but it's also timeless in a sense that there wasn't too much that I could nitpick about it. For my even better, there was one thing that drove me crazy, and it's super, like, well, I'm not sure if superficial is the right word, but like, there's when Raw gets out of the water bath or whatever it is, and they're putting like the robe or cape or whatever on him, and then they put this like the clasp thing for the robe thing, and it's like crooked. That thing drove me insane.
I didn't notice that, but I understand. I understand what you're saying. There are movies that I've seen a million times, and if I notice something like that, I will always notice it when I watch it again. One thing that I've noticed, I don't even know if I should say it to you guys, because you might always notice it.
Oh, no, it'll ruin it for you.
Okay, well, one of my most favorite movies ever made is The Empire Strikes Back. I watch it pretty often because I love it. And there's an iconic scene that everybody knows, which is the end where Luke and Darth Vader are on the bridge together, and he's just cut off Luke's hand, and Luke is and he's like
no!
And like they're having their back and forth, and there's a crazy wind machine going because they want Vader's cape to be like, and Luke's hair to be all matted against his face. But if you look carefully, you can see that like samurai part of Vader's helmet is just slightly wobbling against the wind, and it's wobbling slightly. And every time I see it, I'm like, it'd be way cooler if his fucking helmet wasn't wobbling like that.
I have one of those for the early Batman movies. I know that we all know that his like neck can't move.
Yeah.
But there's just one where he looks up. I think it's in the first Batman. There's like a shot where he looks up, and it just drives me nuts.
The whole thing.
He moves his whole.
It's all weird looking. I'm not familiar with that one, but again, like I'm sure you guys didn't know about the wobbly helmet.
No, my thing
if
is
you
more
watch
so...
A New Hope, anytime you watch A New Hope, you can see through Darth Vader's eye hole, and you can just see the guy's eyes inside, like blinking and shit. Yeah.
My thing is more so them shooting around the fact that he can't move his neck in Batman. And them trying to do shots that
they get creative.
Well, good news, Jason. There's a new movie coming out called Flashpoint, and you're gonna get all new Keaton neck moving Batman.
I can't wait.
He's gonna be moving his neck all over the place.
It's called The Flash.
But ladies and gentlemen, when we start talking about other movies, is when we have to start calling it a wrap. And before we do,
So
we
we
are
have to call it a
going
wrap
to-
for the first 5 minutes of the fucking show. Sorry.
That was just a psych out wrap. We're gonna do our final thoughts first, and I will be the asshole of the evening and go first.
Wow.
But I went first for the intros.
Unprecedented times we
Yeah.
live in.
They're super, and I gotta say that I enjoyed this film. It was solid. What did I write down here? We get a great score complementing beautiful visuals. I mentioned earlier, it kind of has a timeless aspect to it. Wrote that. What else do we got here? So I give this a buy, this is a buy, and I give it a bunny way.
That's a thing from the movie, right?
Yeah.
You're not being problematic, are you? What does that mean again?
It's like wonderbar. It's like I like this. It's like
Okay.
exclaim
Very
of
good.
joy.
Nice.
Yeah, excellent.
Nice.
Yes, short and sweet. That's how I like to keep it. MPAA 33019.
So Kaylin, at some point you're gonna have to figure out when you first start doing the segment, the MPAA segment, and we're gonna have to put you have to put the episodes in order.
I'll do that.
Of release, like when they
Yeah.
were released, not when we released them.
No, because they are in order.
Yeah, exactly. And MPAA order. I got this. Is it okay if I just screenshot it? The quality might not be as good, but
Yeah, you can do whatever you want. I was mostly kidding.
I was playing along with your kidding by also kidding.
Yes, and
Take it away, Jason.
hello, everybody. Technically, this is holy shit.
No, it isn't.
I was.
This is not technically holy shit.
I was gonna pull up I want to know what episode we're on. Let me see if I can do that.
101. Oh, we should do 101 Dalmatians for 101.
101.
Which version? There's like
Dalmatians.
1,000 versions of them.
We're 101 pounds.
Give me classic Disney cartoon.
Oh, this is episode.
We haven't
okay.
done one, so.
Okay, this is episode 78. By the way.
Okay.
I just wanted to put that out there because of the fact that we've been doing this a long time now, and it's real cool. As we've been going through our final moments here for this episode, I've been writing down. I'm going to send you guys a list after this of our segments, and I think we have we have a lot of segments. But speaking of segments, I'm going to give you guys my final thoughts, and I hope you like them. I honestly thought Stargate was more like a Starship Troopers action movie with military guys flying around doing space battles, which I talked about at the top of the show. I didn't realize it was a fully a nerdy guy scientist adventure movie. I enjoyed it. Great action, great story, if not a bit more basic than I was expecting. And the special effects were good for the time. I don't know why I connected those two things in one sentence, but I wrote it. You know what I mean? You write something.
It was like you opened a Stargate between them.
I did. I absolutely did.
Who needs periods or commas?
That was one sentence. I honestly think 90s movies will engage me because I'm a product of the era. So they don't look as dated as like a 70s or 80s movie or film. Kurt Russell was great, and he provided the action part of the action adventure. This is a good origin story for a TV show because they can pretty much go anywhere from here. And I wish more adventure movies would go this route and have spin-off series. Krull would have been neat as a weekly show, like either back then or now. Like if they just brought Krull back, like they did with Dark Crystal
Or Willow.
or Willow.
Oh yeah.
Overall, I give it a 4 out of 5, and that hasn't wavered through. Like this wasn't one of those ones where I'm humming and hawing while we're talking about it. I give this a 4 when I was done watching it, and it stays at a 4 because it's like, I think, Kaylin, you're right. It's pretty timeless. It works. It worked very well then, and I would absolutely recommend anybody to watch it now. I also give it expecting to go through a Stargate on a quick reconnaissance mission, but ultimately discovering a living, breathing world, a wife, and the friends you met along the way.
Ooh.
Give my regards to King Tut asshole.
I forgot about that. Nice. That was perfect.
Yeah, that was literally just going to be my review. I was gonna just say, give my regards to King Tut, asshole, and then decapitate somebody.
I almost knew, like, I kind of vibed with you on that, and I kind of knew, but I wanted to say it in a real, because he says, "Give my regards to King Tut, asshole."
That was perfect. Thank you.
I guess it's my turn.
It's your turn.
Yeah, I watched this a couple days ago, and I didn't rewatch it again because I kind of liked the folding of it I was doing in my brain, where I was like, is it good? Is it just dumb fun?
Sorry, Steve. Just there's one thing I want to add to my final thoughts, because Kalen has added his buy, watch, or dump, or whatever it is. I'm going to add film or movie to mine because of based on my criteria that you hate. So I'm glad that I interrupted you with a thing that you hate. But this is a film because there's plenty of explosions, but there's no real car-on-car high-speed chase. There's not really.
There is a chase.
What is the chase?
There's running.
James Spader gets his foot caught into a weird camel from space, and they have to chase it, and it's a high-speed chase.
Okay.
I mean,
this concludes film or
as
movie.
high speed as they can go.
It's the equivalent to a high-speed chase.
This
It's as high speed as they can go.
This concludes film or movie. Sorry, Steve, as you were.
The movie Stargate is amazing because of the scene where James Spader gets his leg cut up in a weird harness of a hairy camel monster that is voiced by the guy who voices all of the animals from Disney. One thing that I hate is when a human does animal noises in a movie to give the animal more characteristics of like a human. And they do that multiple times in the movie. This is not part of my review. It just the memory came up when Jason mentioned high-speed chases, and I'm talking about it now. You know, like Nala from Aladdin or Abu from Aladdin. There's a voice actor who makes all those noises. Like he goes like he makes all those sounds.
You mean that the animal sound, not the talk?
Yeah, that same guy does the sounds for this creature in the movie. And it's one thing that bugs me. It's like when you're playing a horror video game or a very serious video game or watching a serious anime, and an adult woman does the voice of a kid. Like it makes it seem reductive in a way where I'm like, it's no longer believable because I know that that's not a child actor. That's a 40-year-old woman doing the voice of a child. That's a man doing the sound of a camel beast. And like I cannot stand it. So I kind of want to revive my like what could be better, and that will be it. that would be just make it animal noises. You can go and record like a lion from a zoo or whatever. The same thing with the gun noise. Do you remember when they keep using the same gun reloading noise?
Someone's making that sound?
No, it's the noise from GoldenEye N64. They use it like 1,000 times in the middle chunk of this movie over and over again.
It's just a stock sound that they had, like a Foley artist made.
But they use the same one over and over and over again. And I'm like, this movie is a $52 million movie, and they couldn't have some guy like make a new sound into a microphone for them. Anyway, sorry, I'm getting off topic. I'm realizing that my could have been a lot better. So I think this movie it tells a story in a way that I find interesting, which is like you've got a person who has been pulled down to their lowest point and another person who is seemingly waiting to get to their highest point, and they meet and they have to complete something together, and that's what the story is. And it doesn't happen on Earth, it happens on the complete other side of the galaxy, and it's putting them, two characters that are otherwise maybe not interesting to the entire audience, but together can at least gain some interest from most people that are watching it, and send them into an interesting situation together. And so just from that launching point, the movie is completely successful for me, because I am into both of the characters. I feel connected to the James Spader character because in a lot of ways in my own life, I become extremely obsessed with very specific things, and I constantly am trying to like convince people of my opinions all the time. Sometimes they agree with me right away, and other times they're like, "You're insane, Steve," and I'm like blowing my nose. Sorry, allergies. It just happens every time I travel, which is true. Anywhere I go on planet Earth, I have allergies. It sucks. And I found all of the storytelling for the characters in the beginning to be a great achievement of like getting to know enough characters to care about them. But I feel like instead of focusing on the elderly woman mentor and the general and all these other sort of like tertiary characters that are pushing those two characters forward, they could have maybe gave us a little bit more about those other characters that are going through the Stargate with them. You don't really learn anything about them or even get details of their face until they're in the desert. Like even when they're like setting up and stuff, they're all wearing these giant goggles.
Yeah.
And it's not until a little bit later that you start to understand what they look like. And even then, it's like you're focused mostly on French Stewart because you're like, hey, it's that guy from that show that came out several years after this movie. And a lot of those guys die before you get to know any of them. But, you know, they do the interesting thing, which is like humans are here. They could have done aliens, but it's humans. And then you start to realize like the implications of the movie. And I think it's all done like solidly, and the humans have a connection to each other immediately, which is that they all look like one another, and they haven't been, you know, and the humans that are arriving seem maybe just as powerful as the gods that they're worshiping. And I think I'm going to keep talking forever. I'm just basically going to keep talking forever. So I think I'll reel it in a little bit. I'm getting a little bit too excited about Stargate because I'm now thinking about the show and like how the show kind of like improved upon the movie itself. And like you said, Jason, it would be great to see movies that kind of end in a satisfying way, but with questions, continue off into other directions. Like Krull, we were talking about last week, how Krull would be.
And next week we have a show that has a animated movie and then an anime that continues the story of this.
Is there a Wizard of Oz anime?
I think there is also a Wizard of Oz anime, but
oh wait, yeah, it's called what's it called? Not Howl's Moving Castle, but the other one. Or is it? No,
but there's an animated movie for Return to Oz, and then I was telling you there's a anime that's in the same style as Maya the Bee and Astro Boy.
Right, but Howl's Moving Castle is basically like a continuation of The Wizard of Oz, in my opinion. When you watch it, there's a scarecrow. She dresses like Dorothy, and it's like Dorothy as though she was an old woman goes in. Anyway, we'll talk about that next week.
Yeah.
The movie's good. I like the movie a lot. I thought I was going to hate it. I had the Roland Emmerich kind of brain fungus where I'm like, it's going to be like it's going to be another disaster film movie. And then you watch it and you're like, oh no, there was a time where he cared about his characters and having them go through a journey more than the explosion of everything around it. And I think that was maybe based on the limitation of his budget, where he wasn't like, can I blow up the World Trade Center? And everyone's like, no, you can't, but we'll let you blow up the White House. And then years later, so in terms of my rating, I was gonna say, you know, give regards to King Tut because this movie's great, and then kick him up the teleporter, and then hopefully he would tell King Tut. But I think I'll give this movie the first moments of a really wickedly made practical helmet turning towards the camera and then starting to like CGI, which looks okay for a second. And then by the end, you're like, it could have been better. Some of the things, there's a lot of seams here that I'm seeing. That's what I'll give it.
That's pretty
A
good.
good helmet that doesn't come off quite as easily as you'd like it to.
Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone else. That sounds wrong. There you have it, everyone. That's better.
People of Earth.
There you have it.
I want to give a shout out to the people who came through the chat towards the end. Kazulti and Gogo Wolfie, some people that have been following recently. We've got 5 viewers in the chat right now, so thank you for coming by. Kaylin, were you gonna ask a specific question to them, or what's gonna happen?
I was gonna do a few things, Jason. The first thing I was gonna do, after thanking them for joining us,
thank you for joining us
this evening, was to say that for Jason and Steven, I'm Kellen.
And for Steven and for Kaylin, I'm Jason.
For Kaylin, for Jason, I am Raw. No, I'm Steven. Just kidding.
And we just got to ask you one thing. Hey, did you see this one?
Hey, did you see this one?
Hey, did you see this one?
Play us out, Luke.
As soon as we all say it's currently okay. Now we're at the part where this at the after pod where we just thanks for watching. You guys have
I wrote down a note during this, which was man doing nonsense noises, and I couldn't figure out what I meant by that note. And then I realized later, I'm like, oh, it's the man from the Disney movies making the. He also does the voice of Winnie the Pooh and shit. Like he's a good voice actor, but yeah, they made him make a bunch of crazy noises because he was good at it.
Well, someone's got to make those noises.